up to the 30, the 20, 10, 5, Torrey Horton back to the end zone.
48-yard play. Guess who? Body up the middle, making another move to the outside. 15, 10, end zone again.
Keeps it. Nice move by Brown. He's got space. He's got 6. 35-yard touchdown for Byron Brown. A record-setting night for the South Florida quarterback.
Down so far, a little bit of a high snap. Genty right up the middle. Genty has room. Ashton Genty, give him 6.
Second and long. Lagar tries to pin it in. Runnels, it does. Runnels stays up. The Suns offense 4-3 wins. Incredible effort for Runnels.
The G5 Hive. All G5, all the time.
Welcome to the G5 Hive Live. We are excited to bring you the G5 college football coverage you love each and every week. I am Luke, and I am joined by my co-host, Justice. If you are watching us on X, please hit that like. Sorry. If you're watching us on X, please give us a follow, like, retweet. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please rate and review.
Speaking of it, let's move into our week 2 review. So we got the G5 versus P4 matchups that we talked about last week, as well as the G5 versus G5 matchups. So what do we got there for G5 versus P4, Luke?
All right, so number 17, Kansas State at Tulane. Kansas State pulls this one out 34-27. This was a very, very close game.
Tulane should have won the game. Like the refs jobbed them.
Well, that, and then they had the strip sack fumble return where Mensa just had the ball hanging out, got smacked, and they returned it for a touchdown. They had some opportunities. It was not great, but Tulane looked really good, and I don't know if Tulane, if like the Kansas State athletes just aren't maybe what they were last year, or just Tulane was that good. Like they look pretty stout this year.
Darian Mensa looks really good.
He sure does.
I mean, he's freaking accurate passer.
And then we got Northern Illinois at number 5 Notre Dame. We talked about this earlier, but this is the second G5 versus P4 win in 2024. 16-14 win by NIU. Congratulations to the Huskies and the MAC conference. On the other hand, we have App State going to number 25 Clemson and getting it handed to them 66-20. Clemson pulls this one out. I did think this was going to be a lot closer when I tuned in.
I did too.
It was like a blowout pretty early, so I did not keep watching much of that game.
Clemson didn't look good week 1. They're playing Georgia, but still, they didn't look good on offense. And App State, usually always plays the Power 4 teams tough. And so I was, like I said last week, I was expecting kind of that North Carolina App State games we've come to know and love the last few years, kind of offensive, who's got the ball last wins kind of deals, and that's not the way it played out, unfortunately.
And then we had the nightcap, Boise State at number 7 Oregon, 37-34. Oregon pulls it out. There was a good back and forth. Boise even led at half. Good game. Had Ashton Genty was shot out of a cannon at one point in the game. Overall, a really, really good team, and Boise State is going to be tough to beat this year.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't like you said earlier, Boise State, I don't think is getting enough credit for how close. If folks really think or really believe Oregon is as good as they're ranked, then they're way too low on Boise State, right? I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. I think truth of the matter, Oregon's being ranked where they think they will be versus where they are today.
Yep.
But Boise State deserves some credit for sure.
And then on the graphics, if you're watching this on YouTube, these are the graphics from last week. We had to add Bowling Green at number 8, Penn State, where they fall to the Nittany Lions 34-27. It was a good game.
It was.
Throughout. I did
Bowling
not get to
Green was
watch a lot of this.
leading the game early. Like I said, when I left to go to the Old Dominion game, Bowling Green had the lead. Connor Bazelak was playing well. Jason Patterson was running well for Terrian Stewart, and Harold Fannin was, just looking phenomenal out there against that Penn State defense. So came away super impressed with Bowling Green and Northern Illinois this week. Like the MAC deserves the love. And maybe the MAC's kind of fighting back. I've heard, I've heard other talking heads, so to speak, kind of say that the MAC is the worst conference in all of FBS, and I don't know. Yeah, based on this past week's performance, I don't know that. I don't think anyone. I mean, I personally would say it's Conference USA, but the MAC certainly proved their mettle this week against the P4.
All right. And then going into our G5 versus G5 matchups, we had Troy at Memphis. Memphis runs away with this one. 38-17 was not even close. 38-17 wasn't even that close, honestly. Watched a lot of this one, and Memphis, Mario Anderson was used a lot like Watson was last year. Like there were some times where there were routes developing, but like Hennigan was like it just seemed like he was, if it wasn't immediately there, it was a check down. And he had a lot of just check downs where I don't know what his, yardage was in those catches, but my guess is it was very, very close to the line of scrimmage. He was not going very far, but he was doing damage with his touches.
It seems like Memphis just really hasn't been tested yet, right? They're just kind of operating on cruise control.
Yeah, we will see how they do this week against Florida State. UTSA at Texas State. Talk about a blowout. I was watching this one. It got out of hand quickly. Texas State wins at home 49-10. UTSA looked rough. McCowan struggled mightily. I mean, it must have been real
Eddie
loud.
Lee, Eddie Lee came
rough.
in for him, I saw.
So yeah, it was definitely rough.
And we talked about this, I guess, preseason, right? Like we weren't as high on UTSA as a lot of other folks were.
Yes.
They lost a lot from that team from a year ago. And Texas State looks, is on the upswing there in the Sun Belt. So I guess I would say I'm mildly surprised. I would expect that UTSA to put up, more than 10 points. But I'm not surprised that Texas State beat them fairly handily.
And then we had East Carolina at Old Dominion. Old Dominion falls in this one 20-14.
It was not a good game for offense.
We talked about it at the beginning, so I'm not going to belabor this. But East Carolina defense looking solid. Old Dominion struggling. Then we have Central Michigan at Florida International. The fighting, what would you call them now? The fighting pit bulls at this point.
Mr. 305.
Mr. 305. So Central Michigan loses this 52-16. Marion Lukes plays in this one, so that was a big help for them. Anything else you want to just mention?
Labas didn't look as good as he did in week one. Man, I don't know. I think he threw a couple picks. Maybe more than two, but he did not shine like he did in week one.
And then South Alabama at Ohio, they fall 27-20. The Bobcats pull this one out. I watched quite a bit of this one. I was flipping between different games, but I got to watch quite a bit of this one, and it was just a good game. I wish we got to see Gio Lopez play in this one. Davenport, didn't play bad by any means, but Yeah, I mean, Ohio is a lot better than I anticipated, and I think you had mentioned
Yeah.
that they were going to be better, and I kind of poo-pooed you, and I was like, I don't know, I don't see it. They lost a lot. I mean, that's part of the reason why they lost some of the offense that they did in the transfer portal because they were losing a lot of that offensive line. But you know, they're doing well this year.
The running back situation, I noticed. I didn't watch any of the game, but I noticed both Ricky Hunt and Anthony Tyus got carries. Obviously, Tyus got more, but I mean, Hunt seemed to be productive with the opportunities he did get.
Yeah, every time I turned to watch the game, Hunt wasn't in, so I couldn't tell you how really he looked. So every time, like I had to go back and look at the box score afterward because like Tyus was in there all the time. Anthony Tyus was in there all the time. And then we have Tulsa at Arkansas State. Arkansas State pulls this one out 28-24. I'm trying to remember exactly what happened, but I remember texting you and said Tulsa
You s-
blew it.
Yeah,
Tulsa effed
yes, you
up.
did. You
Like
did.
I was watching that game and like it was a good back and forth. Like Arkansas State did not play well. Rayner did not. I don't know. The book's out on him. I don't know. He just
You saw that towards
it's
the end of last season, right? Where I guess teams were able to game plan better against Rainer than they were early in the season.
and this kind of goes into like I know we talked about a lot in the off season and leading up to the season. Like I'm big on Tulsa. Maybe there might be a year or two away, but like this team is coming together and they might be coming together sooner rather than later. But they're going to be a fun team to watch. That defense played well. Held Rayner in check, who's obviously a running dual threat quarterback. But Tulsa should have won this game, in my opinion.
Yep. All right.
It just reminds me of that. Is it Danny Green or Denny Green, the Bears coach, who's
yeah,
standing at the podium? It's like
Vikings.
they
Coach,
are who we thought.
He was he the Lion or
Oh,
Cardinals
he was
coach?
with the Cardinals
The
at that
Cardinals
point.
at that point, right? I remember him with
Yeah.
the Vikings. I think that quote he was with the Cardinals.
Yeah. Yeah. They are who we thought they were. Yeah. We'll let them off the hook. That was it right there. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Come back and join us next week as we discuss what happened in week 3, as well as look forward to week 4 of the 2024 season. And as always, bring you up to date on all the latest news and happenings in the world of G5 college football. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're watching us on X, please give us a retweet, a like, a follow. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please subscribe and leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. Thank you all for your support. And until the next time, we are the G5 Hive.